Happy Friday. It's always a good thing. Love me a good Friday. It's Friday the 13th. Fun fact, no? I was married on Friday the 13th, just in June, not in January, but I remember some people coming through my wedding line and being like, interesting day. And I was like, best day. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Everybody just get in here. Okay, while Zoom is pulling everybody in, I'm just going to go over a couple things. So first things first, please know, thank you so much. Please know that no one can see you. You aren't on video. No one can hear you. So don't be alarmed. You're totally good. On the bottom of your screen, you'll see two little text bubbles that say Q&A, and that's where we hang out. So at any point during the talk today, if you have questions or you want to add to the conversation or you want some coaching, that's where you're going to go, is to the Q&A box, and you can put it in there anytime. Okay, so if a question comes up for you, or you want to share something, go ahead and throw it in the Q&A box, and I will absolutely take care of you. And let me clear this so I can see. Perfect. Okay. What else do you need to know? I think that's pretty much it. All right, so let's get started. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so stoked to be here. I am here on behalf of Life Coach University, and we work on a pay it forward platform, which means obviously you didn't pay anything to come to this class. And so I just ask that you pay it forward in the world in whatever way that you see fit, because my hope is today you are going to leave this class with some tools, some power, some knowledge of how to be a better lover, of how to love better. And I hope that you will share that in whatever way that you see fit. And that's the whole mission of Life Coach University, is to share the power of coaching with millions for free. And this is how we do that. And I also want to encourage you to just go to lifecoachuniversity.com. There's lots of different coaches that volunteer here, and they teach all different kinds of topics on all the things. And it's an amazing, amazing resource. So want to invite you to go check that out. All right. Like I said, I'm Heather Flake. I'm a certified life coach, and I specialize in marriage. So I work with women who are married and who want to stay married, but they're just like struggling. They feel like they are missing out on connection and on joy. A lot of the clients that I work with are like, listen, I feel resentment, and then I feel guilty that I don't feel so much love. And so we just work through that. I help women to find connection and joy and love in their marriage. And it's the best thing in the world. I have been married to my husband for about 8.5 years, and we have two gorgeous little humans, Brooks and Lily. They're just the best ever. My husband's a full-time doc student. So that's a little bit about us, but I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, let's dive right in. So the topic is how to love better. And I was thinking about this because this has just kind of been my experience. It's just like, listen, I love my husband. I really do. He's the best ever. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't even like you. And so, but then I have all these thoughts. I'm like, but he's mine. Like, I chose him. I did not have an arranged marriage. I'm assuming you probably aren't in an arranged marriage because of, the time we live in. And I'm just like, I chose him. And then some days I just am choosing not to love him. What is up with that? But it makes sense. There's lots of reasons why, but I wanted to bring this class to you because that's been one of my focuses for this new year, is I just want to love better, because I honestly believe that there's no limit to love, right? Like, there's so much love that's available, and we can access that love, and we can feel that love, and we can share that love. There's no limit. Like, love is limitless, but us as human beings with human brains, we have limits on our abilities to be able to share and to feel and express that love. And the other thing that I've realized, we don't come to earth as perfect lovers. No, I don't think lovers are born, they're created, right? Now, you could argue that, listen, some people are just more naturally inclined to be a little better at loving than others. Sure, fine. But I totally believe that all of us can learn to just love a little better, to love a little harder, to feel more love for ourselves and for our people, that that are the lucky recipients of our love. So that's the goal today. Hope that you will leave with some tools and some new ideas on how you can create more love. And I just want you to know that loving is a skill. But like no one has ever taught us how to love. Like I've never learned how to love. It's not like that was one of the classes I went to in high school or in college, right? We hear it all the time, like just love them or I love you. But it's like, but how do I do it more? How do I access more of that? If it's totally available to me, how can I access that? So I want to hear from you. So again, put in the Q&A. Why are you here today? What sparked your interest? Why did you come to How to Love Better? What are you hoping to get out of this? Go ahead and throw that in the Q&A. I want to hear all the things. And while you're doing that, I just want to kind of speak to this. You love your person, but sometimes it's just really hard, right? And then if you're anything like me, you get frustrated because of the lack of love you feel. Like sometimes I'm just like, Heather, come on. What is up with you, baby girl? Why? Why aren't you loving more? And sometimes they're just like, like I just don't want to. I think about it this way. Let's say today someone knocks on your door or you get a letter in the mail, and they're like, listen, you have won a trip to the Bahamas. Like all expenses paid. You're the lucky winner. And like, it's legit. It's not a scam. You have literally won a trip to the Bahamas. And then they give you this little list. They're like, listen, you just have to do a few things, but this trip to the Bahamas is yours. So first you just like got to go online and claim it. Be like, yep, heard you. I'm coming. You got to pick which days you want to come to the Bahamas. And then you're going to need to pack a suitcase. And if you have children, you're going to need to find a babysitter for them. Like logistically, there's a few things you're going to have to figure out, but you can totally just come on this amazing vacation. Right. And it's like, oh yeah, that would be awesome. But we're just like, oh no, I'll just stay at home. It's fine. I don't really like vacation. I don't really like free things. Like, I'll just stay here. What? Or like someone coming to you and being like, hey, I'm going to remodel your kitchen for free. I'm really good at remodeling stuff. I have tons of money. I don't want any more of it. I just want to remodel your kitchen for you. And again, it's not a scam. And they say, you're just going to have to do a few things. I need you to pick out what colors you want to use. I'm going to bring you lots of choices for countertops, and I need you to pick which one you want. And you're going to need to pick what kind of pulls you want on your cupboards, I mean. And you're just like, no, it's all right. I'll just keep the kitchen I have because it's what I know. It's comfortable. Like I don't, it's fine. I feel like that's what we do with love. Like love is on the table. Love is knocking on the door all the time. It's like, yoo-hoo, like there's so much of it. There's no like limit on how much love is available to you or how much love you can feel. But all the time we're just like, nah, I'm good. I'll just stay where I am. What? So I want you to answer that as well. Why are you saying no to love when it's totally available to you? It's right there. And you're just like, no, I'm good. I'll just stay where I am. Why are you doing that? I want to know. Okay. Sorry, I've had a cold for about 7 years, so just ignore my annoying hints. Okay, my partner says he cares for me. Sorry, someone in the chat is saying this. My partner says he cares for me, but he is all resigned to it working on the relationship. So now I'm not motivated to do anything on the marriage. Okay. How's that feeling for you? That's the thing I want you to realize. Okay, here's what happens. We put conditions on our love. We're like, listen, I can love my partner and it's really easy to love them when they're nice and they're helpful and they listen to me and they do the things I want them to do. Essentially, we are good lovers when the person we are loving does the things we want them to do. But as soon as they stop doing that, as soon as our person does something that we don't like or we don't agree with, all of a sudden we're like, I can't love you. Like we withhold the love as a way of trying to like punish them. But ultimately, you're just punishing yourself, right? If I choose to withhold love from my people, that just hurts me because hello, I'm not feeling love. I'm feeling resentment. I'm feeling guilt. I'm feeling mad. I'm feeling like a victim. I'm feeling like I'm not getting what I deserve, whatever, what have you. But ultimately, do you see that? I punish myself by choosing to not love my person. So that's just interesting when you say he's, my partner says he cares for me. So I'm sorry, are you saying he's resigned to not working on the relationship? That's what I think maybe you're saying. So now I'm not motivated to do anything on the marriage. And I just want to ask you, okay, is that where you want to stay? Do you want to not do anything in the marriage? And how is that serving you? Because you're thinking, if your partner came to you today and was like, hey, like, I am super motivated, I am all in, I really want to work on this marriage, then would you reciprocate that? Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't really matter what your partner's saying. This is about you. Why in the world would you not be motivated to do anything in the marriage? Because I can tell you, if you decide, oh, I'm not going to do anything in this marriage, it's going to feel really sucky for you. And so if that's what you want, fine. But I don't think that's what you want. You wouldn't have come to How to Love Better if that's what you wanted. So, and this is just like, this is the human brain. Nothing is wrong with you. We all do this same thing, but we just think there's conditions. If our partner will do these things, then I can love them and I can be motivated and I can show up in this way in the marriage. But if they don't, then I can't. I'm out. But that puts you in such a powerless place. You can just decide that, hey, I'm just going to love this person. I'm going to put my heart and soul into this marriage because I want to. And think about that. When you feel the emotion of love, think about how you act. Okay. Love is a feeling. And then anytime we act, it's motivated, it's fueled by a feeling. So the way I show up in my life when I'm feeling love is way different than the way I show up when I'm feeling resentful or grumpy or annoyed or angry. And here's the tea. There's space for all of it, right? I'm not saying that you are going to feel love all the time and you should feel love all the time. No, you're meant to feel all of it. I'm just saying, I think half of the time we're literally shutting the door like, no, I'm good. No need to feel more love because we think it's not available to us, because we think it's all based on the other person. And that's where we're totally missing out. Does that make sense? So stay with me here because we're going to keep speaking to this. Let me close this little chat box so I can see. Okay. Okay, this was another point too. This came from a few PIF talks a little while ago, but it's come up a few times when someone says, listen, like my spouse has just changed so much. They're so different from the person they were when we first got married. And so I find it difficult to love them, right? But again, why are you saying no? Why are you saying no to loving this person? Because that's stinking for you, okay? And I want you to ask yourself this specific question right now. Why are you denying yourself the feeling of love for your spouse? Why? You deny you that feeling when you're just like, so we just put conditions on it. I do this all the time. Every week. I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I'd rather just be upset. I'd rather be resentful. What? Why? Why when it's available? So if you could learn to love them better, would you? You would, because you're here. So I want you to think about right now as you're sitting here, why is it hard? What makes it difficult for you to love your spouse? Share with me. What makes it difficult for you to love them? What comes up for you when I ask you that question? Tell me why your spouse or your partner, whoever it is that you're thinking of. And I forgot to mention that, right? I'm a marriage coach, so I'm assuming it's a spouse. But if it's not a spouse for you, all of this will still apply. I want you to think of someone that you just want to love more or you want to love better. And tell me, what is it that they do that makes it difficult for you to love them? Does that make sense? I'm going to pop in here. Okay, while you're writing that, I'm going to keep rolling. So we think that how much we love our spouse depends on our spouse, right? I thought this for a long time. And it's just like, listen, it's super easy. If you would just do the things I want you to do, or honestly, you guys, for years, I was just like, you need to be more like me. Like, Devin, if you were more like me, A, we'd get translated into heaven. Our relationship would be too good for this world. But B, everything would just be so much better if you were more like me. If you were more productive, if you were more organized, if you were more just, can't sit still, that would be better. If you didn't read so much, if you didn't like playing games, that would be better. It would not be better. If my spouse was more like me, it would be a nightmare, right? But I just am, there's a hair that is just itching me. But I say this because we do. Like, I just think that how much I'm able to love Devin depends on Devin, and it depends on what he does and what he doesn't do. But it's not. How much I love him has nothing to do with him. Has everything to do with my ability to love him. Did you hear that? How much you love your spouse has nothing to do with your spouse, but it has everything to do with your ability to love them. And we can see that in so many different areas. My spouse has done things before that I did not like, that I did not agree with, that I would not have chosen. And yet I've been able to feel compassion for him or love for him or connection to him in those moments. There's also been those times when I've been furious and I've been resentful and I've been upset. Right? But that's from me, and it's from my thoughts. I'm going to pop in the Q&A. Somebody has a question for us. Okay, one of our friends says he thinks he is never wrong. He's always right and he will never apologize. Oh, that's what makes it hard for you to love him. That's the question I asked. Okay. So our friend is saying her husband is hard to love because he thinks he's never wrong. And he's always right and he'll never apologize. So I just want to ask you, okay, so you just know that, about your spouse. But what's the upside to you not loving that part of him? Or what's the upside of you withholding love in those situations? How does that benefit you? Does it benefit you? And that's the thing. Hear me. I'm not telling you that you should just love that he thinks he's never wrong, or that you should just love that he never apologizes. You don't have to love that. And you don't have to tolerate or be the victim of behavior that you don't want to tolerate, right? Hear that. But I think even in this instance, you can just kind of know, like, oh, that's just something he does. Yeah, my spouse thinks he's never wrong. And it's so fascinating. I wonder what that must be like to never be wrong. But that's the other thing. You think that your spouse needs to apologize in order for you to be able to feel love for him or to express love. But that's hurting you. You withholding love from him because he thinks he's never wrong and because he doesn't apologize, that's hurting you. It's not really hurting spouse. Spouse is just like, this is sweet. I'm never wrong. I never have to apologize. Does that make sense? And ultimately, you just get to decide, right? If those are your reasons, like when you sit down and you think about, okay, why and when do I withhold? First, when? Like what situations, what scenarios come up for me when I retract my love? And then you get to ask yourself, do I want to keep these things? Do I like these reasons? Do I like not loving him when he does this thing that bugs me? Yes or no? What's the upside to it? What's the benefit? But I just want you to recognize that you have a choice. We think we don't have a choice. We're just like, well, he acts like an idiot, so I can't love him. Sucks to suck. No. Love's always available if you want to. And if you chose to feel love for them, think about how that would feel for you and think about how it would cause you to act. The choices you would make, the person you would show up as a result of feeling love. Okay. Let's keep going here. So yeah, I think I already talked about this a little bit, but we just put boundaries, we put conditions on what makes our spouse lovable and what makes them not lovable. But the truth is, everyone in the entire world is 100% lovable. Everyone. But our abilities to love aren't at 100%. We're not perfect. We're not even good at loving sometimes. Sometimes we suck at it. And it's fine. That's just the human experience. But don't be confused about this. Everyone is totally lovable. Just sometimes our ability to love them is a little waning or struggling, right? Okay, so now let's jump in and let's talk about how. How do we actually do this? How do we start to love them better? And the first thing you got to do is you just have to observe yourself. I've been thinking, I want you to think about being a spy. So lately, my little girl's all about playing spies. She loves to get her little brother and be like, let's play spies, Brooksy. And they'll run around and they hide and they spy on me and they just think it's like the most lit thing ever. So I want you to be a spy of yourself. Okay. Meaning I just want you to really observe yourself without any judgment. Okay. So after this class today, I want you to leave and just be like, okay, I'm just going to observe myself. I want you to become really aware of when you say no to love and when you say yes to love. When is it easy for you to love your person? And when is it just like so challenging? What's the difference? But I want you to physically see what these things are. Okay. So the only way to love better and to love a little more and to love harder is to first understand how you love today. Right? It's just like the map example that I need to get a new example. I'm always using this, but it's so good. When you put a location into your GPS to go somewhere, it first has to understand where you are, right? You can't get directions to go somewhere if you don't know where you are. Same thing. You can't love more if you don't understand your current capacity of love or how or why you're loving the way you are today. So you just observe yourself. Just start to notice when you withhold or withdraw your love. Notice when you lay the love on. What's happening? Like what's going on for you? When is it easier? When is it more challenging? Okay. So that's the first step, is just honestly really observing yourself, getting really aware. And you have to do it without judgment, which is hard for us. As humans, we're always judging. We're always beating up on ourselves or on somebody else, right? But you can just drop the judgment. You can just be like, oh, I'm just observing myself. And anything that you can notice is going to be valuable for you. It's just like patient intake. It's like when you go to the doctor because something's off, you're not feeling super good, and the doctor's asking lots of questions and you're just answering. And sometimes we're embarrassed. We're like, well, I don't want to tell him that I have diarrhea or whatever. But if you withhold information, he's not going to be able to give you a proper diagnosis, or he's not going to be able to give you the treatment that you're looking for, right? So it's just like, dude, I'm just going to be honest. I'm putting it out there. I'm going to tell him all the things. But you're just doing that with yourself. You're just going to observe and notice. You want to get all the information that you possibly can. And you just do it by observing you, by noticing. For me, I do it. It's really helpful to like write it down, or I frequently just talk. Like when I'm in the car and I'm driving and I'm by myself, those rare moments. Sometimes I just have like a little microphone recording app and I just talk. I'm like, okay, this is what's kind of happening for me. This is how I'm feeling. Sometimes I write. I think it was Wednesday night. Wednesday, I was just grouchy. I was a bear and I was mad and I was overwhelmed and I was stressed and I was just so fun to be around. So that night I just got out my little journal and I was just writing all the things that I was feeling. And I was just like, oh, no wonder I'm feeling this way. So just give yourself space to try to figure out and understand how you act and maybe why you're acting that way. Okay. The second thing I want you to understand is love is an emotion. Where does love come from? I want you guys to put this in the Q&A. What determines if you feel love or if you do not feel love? What you got for me? Oops, let me clear this. What determines if you feel the emotion of love or if you don't? And like, even if you don't want to put it in the Q&A, think about that for yourself. That's such a helpful question. Like, where does it come from? Where does love come from? What determines if you feel it? Okay, I'm going to spoil this for you. You ready? Love comes from your thoughts. Oh, someone puts it in right as I do. Your thoughts. You're so good. One of my people coming through. Yes, but do you know this? Your thoughts create your feelings. Before I found life coaching, I did not know this. I thought my feelings came from all the things happening around me and from all the people around me, right? So the times I felt love is because people were acting in ways that I thought were great. And the times I didn't feel love, it was that person's fault because you're making stupid choices or you are hurting my feelings because you clearly don't care about me. So when I honestly learned this, and I remember hearing it. Have you guys ever heard something before that just like resonates so deeply with you and you're just like, yes. That was this for me. When I heard your thoughts create your feelings, I was just like, and that is the best news ever. So if what I choose to think creates how I feel in my body, and how I feel creates how I act and how I show up in my life, and how I show up determines the kind of results I create for myself in my life, that means I'm in charge. So anytime I'm not feeling love, it's because of what's going on up here in my brain. And anytime I am feeling love, it's because of what's going on here in my brain. Let me demonstrate this in a very simple way. I want you to think about someone that is super easy for you to love, someone that you just love fiercely. Like, for example, I have a baby sister that I'm just obsessed with. Like, I love her so much. I've never been mad at this sister. I've never thought an ill of her. Honestly, never. Like, I just love Haley. And I love her because I think that. I just think she's so amazing. I think she's so funny. She's brilliant. I think she's such a light. I think I'm so grateful that she came to our family. I was in the hospital the day she was born. I remember like being in the hospital. I was in the second grade and I remember seeing her. I remember more just the chocolate pudding they gave me in the hospital, but I just remember like the excitement. I remember them calling on the intercom, Heather Flake, come to the office. You have a brand new sister. Like I remember all of that. But see, all of these thoughts that I think about her create so much love for Haley. And anytime that Haley's sad or she's struggling or she's feeling challenged, I'm just like, oh, I'm just like, dang it. I hate that she's feeling sad. I hate that she can't see how amazing she is. I hate that she doesn't know what I know about her. I've got to teach her. I've got to tell her. Makes me feel so much love. My babies. Oh my gosh. They're so easy for me to love. Now, there are days when I am just like, please get away from me. I love you fiercely. Please go away. Super normal. But I love them so fiercely because of my thoughts. I think I made them. I stare at them all the time. And I'm just like, I'm so in awe that me and Devin did that me and Devin and God did that. And I go in their rooms every night once they're asleep and I put their covers back on them and I stare at them. And I just think, I can't believe you're mine. And I just think, you're so amazing. I can't believe you're mine. I just love them so much. And I think all the time, you guys are my entire world. I literally think all the time, you guys are just everything. Like I have everything right here in this house. These people that I share this home with, they're everything to me. And that makes me feel so much love. Okay. So your thoughts create how you feel. So do you see that? So anyone that you think is really easy to love, I promise you the reason you're good at loving them is because of the quality of thoughts that you have about them. And I'm sure you can relate to this with your spouse, even if it's been a hot second, right? When I'm feeling a lot of love for Devin, it's because I'm thinking those things. Oh, I'm so proud of him. Oh, he's gold. I'm so grateful that I found him. Out of all the people I could have ended up with, I'm so grateful it was him. He's so smart. He's so good to me. I love him. He's so funny. Man, we have such a good thing going. We're such a good team. I feel love, right? And then a lot of the times I'm just like, oh my gosh, hello. I do everything around here. He doesn't care. Must be nice just to be able to just worry about yourself and your career, but I have to worry about everything else. Then I feel resentful. Okay. So I just want you to notice this relationship. Anyone you love fiercely, if you'll look at why that is, you'll see really beautiful thoughts. and anyone that you feel challenged by or that is difficult for you to love, you will see that in your thoughts. It's really hard to love someone when you are constantly thinking, they don't care about me, they're not helpful, they don't understand me. It's going to be really challenging. Does that make sense? Okay. So, that's the next thing is I want you to get your thoughts out. Okay. So identify this person. Let's just say it's your spouse. And I want you to get out your thoughts about them. Sometimes you guys, you will feel shame for some of the thoughts you think. I have thought things before that I'm so embarrassed of. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm horrible. I'm a bad person. And then I'm just like, no, 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 Heather, these are just your thoughts. This isn't you. These are just thoughts that you have. And these thoughts are making love really difficult right now. And if you want to stay here, it's fine. You can. But if you don't, when you're sick of withholding love, we're going to need to change this narrative. I'm just like, okay. And I just want to tell you, sometimes I want to change. Sometimes I'm down and other times I'm like, nope, I'm going to stay a while. I want to hang out in the river of misery. I'm just going to keep floating here because I'm not ready. That's totally fine too. But the whole difference is it's just this level of awareness. All of a sudden I realize it's not my spouse that's making it hard for me to love. It's me. It's my thoughts. It's the way I'm perceiving him. That's what's making it difficult for me to love. Okay. So get your thoughts out. Just do what we call a thought download. I have a running Google Doc that's just hundreds of pages long that I just get my thoughts out on. So you can do that. You can get pen and paper. You can record yourself talking, whatever it is for you, but just allow your thoughts to come out so you can understand. And I promise you, you'll see the correlation. It's really hard to love someone when you think negative and not even so much negative, but it's just like when you have thoughts that are very destructive, it's really challenging to love someone in that place. Okay. Then after you have these thoughts out, I want you to just make a conscious choice. Did you know that you can just decide or you can set a goal or an intention to just simply focus on loving your spouse better? That's one of mine. Just I did a kind of a different thing with goals this year, and I'm just doing them by like quarters. Just because I was feeling kind of overwhelmed by just like huge year goals. So I'm just like, oh, quarterly goals. So this is kind of my focus from now until the end of March. I'm literally just trying to love Devin more. I'm focusing on feeling love for him more often because I can, because it's available to me. And I know that that's going to benefit him in our relationship, but ultimately that's going to benefit me so much. And that's going to allow me to show up as the wife and the person I want to show up as. Okay. So you can just decide. Excuse me. You can make a conscious choice. Whoa, where's my ear? You can make a conscious choice to love them more. Okay. And part of doing that, the key is just taking responsibility. You got to take responsibility for your own thoughts, your own feelings, and your own actions instead of putting it all on the other person. Well, I can't love you because you always think you're right. And I can't love you because you're not even motivated to work on a relationship. Do you see how that's hurting you? What if you just decided, hey, you know what? My spouse has told me they're not super motivated to work in this relationship. I'm just going to love them anyways because I want to. For the time being, I want to love them. So regardless of how they feel or what they're doing, I'm just going to love them because that's going to feel amazing for me. And that's going to allow me to show up in the way that I want to show up as. You don't need anyone's consent to love them. I went to this event a couple months ago with Brooke Castillo from the Life Coach School, and she was talking about that. She's like, listen, you need someone's consent to hug them. Like you can't just go around hugging all the people, right? Like often, unless it's someone you're really close to, you're just like, hey, like, can I give you a hug or whatever? Like you ask for consent, but you don't have to do that with love. You don't have to ask your spouse if you can love them or your neighbor or that sister-in-law. You can just decide, hey, I'm going to love them and there's nothing they can do about it. Did you know this? You can just choose to love your spouse so hard and there's nothing they can do about it because you want to. And you want to be clear about that. You're not loving them more or harder so that they'll love you more or harder. You just want the experience of being able to love. because that's going to benefit you. Then you can always reevaluate. You can always say, is this a relationship that I want to be in? Is this a relationship that is serving me? Is this a relationship where I want to love? You always have that freedom. You always get to answer and ask that. I'm going to pop in here. We have a little question. Okay, one of our friends says, one thing that really hurts me is how he is so buddy-buddy with his friends. Sometimes I want to say, excuse me, did you forget about me? Yeah. Okay, so let's just talk through this for a minute. You're feeling really hurt because of how buddy-buddy he is with his friends. So, but what are you making that mean? Like, tell me more about this. When you're like, yoo-hoo, like, excuse me, did you forget about me? So the fact that he is buddy-buddy with his friends, so are you saying he's not buddy-buddy with you? Are you saying he should be? Like, tell me a little bit more about this. Why do you feel hurt? Let's talk about that. He ignores me. He has inside jokes with them. Okay, that's why we're feeling hurt. And do you want to? Like, I know this sounds funny, and sometimes I ask my clients this, and they're like, no, of course I don't want to. And like, okay, but do you see how you're choosing this? Okay, and then she says, if I try to get involved, then he rolls his eyes. Okay. What are you making the eye rolls mean? Because essentially, so here's the thing. You keep telling me more things that he does, like he ignores me, he has inside jokes, he rolls his eyes, but how these are just his actions, right? But what are you making it mean about you? That he ignores you, or that he has inside jokes, or that he has other friends, or that he rolls his eyes. Those things that he's doing, what are you making those things mean about yourself? That's what we want to know. Because it's in that we're feeling more hurt. Because it could be this case with someone else and they would just be like, dude, I'm so grateful he has buddies. Like, I love that he hangs out with other people. I need a break from him. I love that he has inside jokes that I don't have to understand or be a part of. Hallelujah. I think it's hysterical when he rolls his eyes at me. I do the same thing to him all the time. Right? Okay, here we go. So you're saying it makes me feel like I'm not as interesting or as fun as his friends. Okay, but why is that a problem? Right? Do you think you should be as interesting or as fun as his friends? So that's the other thing. You make it mean that, oh, I must not be interesting. I must not be fun. But those are just thoughts. And it's those things that are causing you hurt. It's not so much his actions. It's not that he has inside jokes. It's not that he rolls his eyes. It's not that he ignores you. You're feeling hurt because you're making it mean that, oh, I must not be interesting and I must not be fun. And maybe it's some level of like, I'm not good enough. He likes his friends more than me. Okay. You say, I don't just want to be the wife. Okay. This is a perfect prime example. So who do you want to be in this relationship? In a perfect world, you can just customize this relationship. How do you want it to go? Tell me about that. What are you wanting that you feel like you don't have right now? I don't just want to be the wife. And you guys, there's so much meaning in all of this. Like, what do you mean? Right now, you think you're just the wife. But what does that mean for you? Because it's not the same for everyone. Let's see what she says here. I want it to be the best friend that we can joke and laugh about life together. Okay, gorgeous. And I think it's so beautiful that you can know this. Okay. And like, I hear you say this, and I'm like, hold on to this. Like, don't be ashamed or afraid. Like, give this belief, give this desire. It's a desire you want. Give this desire life. Okay. Right now. Well, let's let it be born right now. It is born because you just said it out loud. You want to be the best friend. You want to joke with him. You want to laugh about life together. So I want you to think about how you can start creating that. Okay. Because if you know the model that I teach, which is basically our thoughts, there's circumstances, there's things that happen that we can't control. We have thoughts about those things. Our thoughts create how we feel. Our feelings dictate how we act. How we act creates what we get. Okay. So in the action line, we would put joke with my husband, laugh about life together. feel connected, have a great friendship. In order for you to do those things, what would you have to be feeling? Because right now, okay, I'm going to come back to that because that's gorgeous. Tell me right now how you feel as just the wife. You don't feel like you're the best friend, right? I'm assuming you feel like you can't really joke and laugh about life together. So tell me right now in the relationship how you feel. And I had asked her, I said, what does it mean? Like, I don't want to be just the wife. And then she just said, the wife for him is someone who cooks, cleans, works, raises the kids. And she's saying, I want more than that, right? I want to be the best friend. I want to joke and laugh about life together. Okay. So first, right now, just like I talked about a little bit ago, we have to understand how are we feeling right now when you think, oh, I'm just the wife. I'm just someone that cooks and cleans and works and raises his kids. That makes you feel what? I feel ignored. Yes. Okay. So stay with me and tell me when you feel ignored, how do you act? So how are you showing up around husband when you feel ignored by him? What kind of things do you do? What kind of things don't you do? Tell me that. When you're feeling ignored, how do you show up? She's like, I still have to cook and clean and raise the kids. Yeah, but I want you to think about in your interactions with him. Like, do you talk to him? Do you connect with him? Do you try to tell him jokes? Like, what's your behavior around husband specifically, right? It's like, yeah, you're still choosing to cook and clean and raise the babies. But I'm willing to guess if you feel ignored by husband, you're not probably super engaging. There's probably not like a lot of bids for connection with him because in your brain, you're like, well, he doesn't even know I exist. I'm literally just here to cook for him, clean, and raise his babies. Right. So that's keeping you from doing anything that would actually allow the opposite to happen. Let's see what you say. I don't try to tell jokes. Yeah. So it's just kind of interesting, right? It's like the thing that you want a friendship where you can laugh about life together and joke, but yet you don't ever try to tell a joke. Like you're not trying to make that connection with him because in your mind, you're like, well, I'm just the wife. And so wives just cook and clean and raise kids. So do you see that? It's keeping you from even making any attempt to be a best friend. And you can think of it in a different relationship because sometimes it's hard to do this in your own relationship where you're so in it. It's hard to see anything else. That's why coaching is so powerful because it's someone else showing you, hey, this is what's happening in your brain. But think about someone else. Think about someone that you do have a really good relationship with or you feel very like friendly with, like you're a best friend to them. Think about how you act and think about what your beliefs are about yourself in that relationship because those things alone are going to change how you act. Okay, but the thing is he also cooks and cleans and helps with the kids, but we're not buddy. Okay, interesting. But do you know why you're not buddy? It's because you think that he ignores you. And you think, I got to scroll back up here. It's because you think you're not interesting or as fun as his friends. What if he wants to be really buddy with you too? He's just maybe he's sitting there thinking like, oh, she doesn't even think I'm funny. I don't think she really wants to be my friend. She's always just cooking and cleaning and raising the kids. Like we don't know. That's the other thing. We assume all the live long day. We think we know all the things about our partner. We think we have them so figured out. We don't. I think the best emotion you can bring into your marriage is curiosity. Just be so curious about who they are and about what makes them tick. And I try to tell myself all the time, there's so much about Devin I don't know. There's so much that I have to discover about him. I'm so excited to learn all about him, learn all the things. And that attitude, that allows me to get to know him way better than if I just assume I know who he is, I know how he operates, this is always what he does. I stay super close-minded and I never give myself a chance to learn more about him. But he does ignore me. I agree that I'm not funny. I'm not one of the guys. Yeah, you're not. You're not one of the guys. You don't need to be one of the guys. right? You are thinking, you want him to, it's almost like you want him to treat you like he treats his friends. But why? I love this person. Do you work with couples? I don't want coaching just for me that I have to do all the work. I want him to change. Yeah. I mean, I don't work with couples, but this is the thing. This is why I do exactly what I do, because we just want them to change so bad. Because then if they would change, it would just be easier and it would be better for us. And we would learn nothing. You don't need him to change. How amazing would it be? How much you could blow your own D-word mind by learning to just love him hard and good and genuinely, and he stays exactly the same. Wouldn't that be so amazing? Can I tell you that you can do this? I started doing this a couple of years ago because I wasn't liking the way I was showing up in my marriage. I just felt a buttload of resentment. I was always resentful. I wanted my husband to change. I wanted him to be different than who he was. And I felt so much guilt about that. I thought that's so trashy. I married him and I love him, but I just want him to be different. And so I realized I was really missing out on this beautiful person in front of me because I was so obsessed with him being someone else. And I was just like, I'm so done with that. So done with that. It's damaging our relationship. It's not helpful. And then ultimately it's causing a lot of hurt for me. So I just decided, I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to go all in on him. I'm just going to decide to love this version of him. And I started doing that, and it's blown my mind. Like all the time I think, oh my gosh, I was really missing out on this amazing person. Because here's the thing, you can't change him. You don't need to change him in order to feel better. You could totally just feel love for him today, him being exactly the way that he is. So here's the thing. Even in the circumstance line, you could put a specific example of a time when you felt like your husband ignored you. But what's your thought? Tell me what you think when your husband ignores you. Tell me what you think and how you feel. I really want to have my marriage to be different like yours. No, you don't want your marriage to be like mine. No. You just want your marriage to be the best that it can be for you. Okay? And right now anything else seems better because you're hurt. Right? You're in a marriage that feels difficult and hard and sad, and it just feels impossible for you. It feels impossible. I didn't even remember the last. I can't imagine things getting better if he keeps doing what he does, right? But do you see what a powerless place that puts you in, my friend? Saying, I can't imagine things getting better if he keeps doing what he does. Do you see how he has all the power? He has all the power over the relationship. And as long as husband keeps doing these same things, you're just the victim and you're going to have to feel how you feel. You have zero power in that narrative, my friend. Do you see that? And I'm telling you, the complete opposite is available to you. Husband can just be who he is. He can do all the things that he does, but you can decide to start doing things different. It's like a pattern. I want you to think of a pattern. We have patterns in our relationships all the time. So you're in some pattern, you're in some cycle that has to do with him ignoring you, and then it triggers all these other things, right? But guess what? If you withdraw from that pattern, the pattern can no longer be a pattern. Like husband can keep doing the thing, but if you're like, nope, I'm not going to participate in the pattern anymore, the pattern is kaputs. Do you see that? And the husband didn't change. You were just like, no, I'm not going to participate in this anymore. And that's more of what I'm telling you. Like you just don't need to keep participating in the same cycles over and over and over again that are causing you a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. Okay, someone else says, my wife is similar. She has a group of girlfriends that she talks to them every day. I'm just there to do all the DIY in the house. I can relate to the other person sharing. It feels very lonely. Yeah, I'm sure it does. But again, you're in such a powerless place from that spot because we think that as long as they keep on doing the things that they do, I have to feel lonely and I have to feel hopeless and I have to feel like things are never going to get better. I have to feel like this is the limit for my marriage. This is as good as it can get. I don't think that's true. And that's the other beautiful question. Do you want it to be true? And I mean, we can even just do some guessing. Like, why is it that your wife is just talking to the girlfriends every day? Why are you believing that you're just there to do the DIY in the house? What kind of patterns are you in that if you pulled out, if you stopped participating, the pattern would end? I love all of you so much. Please come over. I want to hang out. Okay, our friend says, okay, I'm going to go and get a book of jokes. I saw one in the bookstore today. I'm going to memorize them and say them out and laugh by myself. It's how up different. He will still just roll his eyes at me. Okay, but I love this energy of like, let's do something different, right? Because here's the thing. If you keep doing the same things, you will keep getting the same results. If you keep thinking the same thoughts, you will keep feeling the same feelings. So right now, you're not even trying to be buddy with him. You're not even trying to create a friendship with him because you think that you can't, because you think you're not one of the guys, you're not funny, he ignores you. So instead, on the flip side, it's like, okay, but what if I really did want a friendship with this person? And think about it outside of your marriage, because that's the thing. Sometimes it's more challenging in your marriage because it feels so, it's just like so personal. You feel so attached. So think about it outside of this. Think about today, if you had to go out and make a friend, how would you start? What would you do? How would you go about making a new friend? I want you to answer me this. If you had to go start a new friendship today, how would you do it? What would you go about doing? Okay. While you're thinking about that, I'm going to read another. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. I would just want to be me, she says. That's fascinating. Okay. But how would you do it? Right. So I just want you to think about that. If you were trying to engage with someone and become their friend, right? You would probably need to share things about yourself. You would probably need to make some invitations. You would have to take some risks. It's kind of scary to make a new friend, right? Because when we not making a new friend, we're just comfortable. We do what we do. We're fine. But then all of a sudden, when you have to like put yourself out there, it seems kind of scary. And I will say, I think sometimes it is even more scary in your own relationship because it's like it just feels so vulnerable and it feels so challenging. But what if you just decided like, hey, you know what? My focus for this year, for this quarter, is to become best friends with my husband. And can I tell you something so gorgeous? You don't have to tell him. You don't have to be like, hey, yoo-hoo, like I want to become best friends this year. I want you to just sit with your beautiful self, get out all the thoughts. Step one, get out all the thoughts, get out all the limiting beliefs that are keeping you from being his friend. And then I want you to decide like, hey, I'm going to become best friends with him this year. And then I want you to brainstorm how do best friends act? And not just like you as a best friend. Who is it that you want to be? How do you want to show up? What would you have to be thinking in order to feel love for him? What would you need to be thinking in order to feel connection to him? What would you need to be thinking in order to like be funny and engage in humor with this person? And then write those things down. Write down the things you would do to be a friend. And that's what's so fun. You can be a spy. You can just be sneaky. You can just be like, I have a secret. He doesn't even know, but I'm becoming his best friend this year. Promise you. If you worked on it, you were intentional about it, you will see changes. Okay. Someone says, just a thought. When I think of the times when I see something in myself that I need to change, then I think of how my husband has loved me for so long, despite these things wrong with me, and has not sought to change them in me. It leaves me free to change. So beautiful. I feel all that more love When we love someone for who they are free to change when it is right for them. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to say a resounding amen. So powerful, and that's so true. And I resonate with that so much. I feel like that's a gift my husband possesses. He has never tried to change me. I'm a very independent, I just kind of do my own thing. And he just lets me be me. He's always let me be me. He's never tried to change me. He's never tried to control me or make me different, even though there are things about me that drive him freaking bonkers. He would love nothing more than for me to like board games more, and then for me to like to sit by him and play a computer game. Like he would love that, right? There's so many things about me that I'm sure he wishes were different, but then he's like, but then you wouldn't be you. And I just love you. So I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing to realize. I love what she says. When we love someone for who they are, they're free to change when it's right for them. Thank you so much for saying that, because I feel that so much and couldn't put it into words. Exactly. And I think about the message that you send, just like this person is saying, when you can see in yourself your flaws and the things that you've done wrong, and yet someone is still loving you, it's so powerful. What if you gave that gift to your spouse? Like, you know what? I'm just going to love you anyways. I'm going to love you so hard and so well. I'm just going to love you better. And then if that person does want to change, all of a sudden they feel like it's available to them because they have somebody in their corner that loves them regardless. Love is so powerful. You don't need to change them in order to love them. What if you loved them exactly as they were right now? Think about that message, the message that sends. It says, hey, I love you no matter what. I'm just going to love you and there's nothing you can do about it. That's so powerful. Someone says, my husband and kids mirror me and then we are all miserable. Now I feel guilty that I don't like myself. Hey, listen, you don't need to feel guilty. Okay. You don't need to feel guilty. You can just recognize today, like, hey, I'm just noticing that there's some things about me that I don't really like, but you don't have to stay there. And you can just start really small and really neutral. Is there anything about you that you do like? And here's the other thing. When you say my husband and kids mirror me, that also just gives so much power. It just gives so much fuel to this story that is not helpful. Your kids and your husband are just who they are, and they're in charge of their actions. And yeah, I think especially kids, they see things and they do mirror. Yeah. But you don't want to layer on all this guilt of like, oh, it's my fault that they're acting this way. No. Instead, let's flip it and be like, what would it be like to be an example of how to love myself? What if you just started practicing loving you this year? What if you just started focusing on liking yourself? You don't even have to love yourself yet. What if you just focused on loving you right now, today? And you honestly, you can just start by first getting out all of the thoughts that are inhibiting love. Get all of those out, question them, and then just start small with, but I'm me. I'm worthy of loving me. Heather says I'm 100% lovable. Just my ability to love me isn't at 100% yet, but I can work on it. I can change. I can grow love. Like, have you ever developed love for another person that even at the beginning it felt difficult, but then you got to know them and understand them, and all of a sudden your love grew? You can do that with you. That's an amazing gift that you can give to yourself. And then your family can see that and be like, wow, if she can do it, maybe I can too. But don't feel guilty, because that's not going to help you. It's going to keep you stuck. Okay, when I was asking this person, okay, if you were to make a best friend today, like what would you do? And she says, I would ask them to go for a hike, go for coffee, invite them over for dinner. See, you would take action. Right now, you're sitting in your house thinking, oh, we're not friends. He ignores me. He doesn't think I'm one of the guys. And so you're not making any invitations. You're not making any effort to connect with him. So of course, best friendship isn't happening. So on the flip side, put some invitations, put yourself out there. I would just say in my mind, like, oh, I'm going to become his best friend, and brainstorm and think about how you can make that happen. I would need to think that my husband is my best friend forever. You also want to be careful when you're thinking new thoughts. You've got to make sure that they're believable. If it's not something that you believe yet, Pick something that you do believe so that you can actually work towards it, so it can get some power. Each time I come to your talks, I get so invigorated to work on my marriage. Thank you. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, my friends, we are out of time, but I want to tell you something. I created a free mini workbook all about how to love better. It's 11 questions. It's a little tiny mini workbook that you can go through to start doing all this work. I don't have the pretty link ready, but because you are my people and you are here, if you will just send me an email, heather@heatherflakecoaching.com. Just send me an email and say, Heather, I want the workbook. I will send it to you. But I promise you, it's a very simple little guide that will kickstart all of the things that we talked about today. Okay. So send me an email and I will send that to you, or a message on Instagram. I will be back every month, so stay tuned. I'm on Instagram at Heather Flake Coaching. I have heatherflakecoaching.com. I have a podcast, Marriage Mindset, that I publish every Monday on all major podcasting platforms. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for coming today. And I want you to know that if you're feeling stuck, or you feel like, I want you to know that I know what it feels like to feel stuck and to feel like there's a roof on your love because of your spouse's behaviors or the behaviors they're not taking. And I promise you that you can get out of that. I promise you that more love is available to you. I promise you can get better at loving. It's just practicing. It's just like anything else. It's like riding a bike or playing the piano or learning to build something. You can just practice. If you just made a little bit of your focus on to love better and you practiced it, you would get better. It's inevitable. But I'm totally here to help you. So please reach out if you have questions or you have more concerns, or you're just feeling like it's not working. Please come visit me. I would absolutely love to help you. I would love to be your coach. And just please know that it's available to you. Thank you so, so much for coming, my beautiful friends. It's been gorgeous hanging out with you. And I hope that we get to do it again soon. I'm stalling. I don't want to leave. I just love you guys. Okay. Thanks so much for coming. Have a beautiful weekend. Take care.